Welcome to my channel. My name is Jeremy Crow, and tonight we're going to be doing a live stream on the topic of 2027. And sorry, there has been some technical difficulty. I'm not exactly sure what the heck is going on here. I've had to restart this live stream about 3 times now. Uh, I don't know what's going on lately. I've been having some issues with this, but give me just 1 second here, and I will update the links out there available so that people can actually find it tonight. 1 second here. Again, I apologize for this. Sorry, just one more spot here. All right, and let's get some mood lighting going on here. That's a little better. Okay, great. Okay, so my name is Jeremy Crow, and welcome to my live stream tonight. We are going to be talking about 2027, the year 2027, and what is going to be happening and how we can prepare for it. Now, before we get into that, I like to do a little divination before we start. And what I've been doing lately is doing a bibliomancy using the I Ching. So normally with the I Ching, if you were going to do a reading, you would throw yarrow sticks or throw coins to build up each line till you get the 6 lines stacked on each other. But for the purposes of this, I don't want to take a lot of time. So I just open up at a random spot and I'll read the oracle associated with the hexagram that we land on. So let me give it a try here. All right, so we ended up with hexagram number 6. It's called the triad, and it is the heaven trigram over the water trigram to form the hexagram number 6. Oh, the trial, not the triad. Let me put my glasses on here. All right, so that's what it looks like. And okay, let me read the oracle for this hexagram for you to set the stage, see what's in store for us here tonight. Do not undertake hazardous enterprises. Conditions are ominous. Oh, wow, setting the stage real well. Tensions beyond your control are giving rise to conflicts beyond your control. But you do possess the power to mitigate harm. This is also a time to reflect on inner conflicts and how to reconcile polarities within. Wow. Where you can reconcile, reach settlement. Do not let conflicts simmer for too long. Where you cannot make peace, move away from the conflict as expediently and quietly as you can. Heaven over water is also an omen of entitlements clashing. Wow, that really does resonate with the topic for tonight. If you wanted to check in your own copy of the I Ching, if you have it, or online, that was hexagram number 6, the trial. So, what is going to be happening in 2027? We already have a comment here. The year Deus Ex, human revolution, human revolution takes place. Is that w- uh, if you give me some more context on that, that would be appreciated. It sounds something like out of the Matrix, which we're going to touch on that topic tonight. So there are rumors going around that there is going to be something momentous that occurs in the year 2027. And there are various different versions of what that might be. Now, this may be the same old reoccurring apocalyptic predictions like we saw in Y2K, and we saw again in 2012. And there were a bunch of minor ones as well. Now, 2012 is very significant to me personally. I feel that there was a significant shift that occurred in that year. And I refer to the time after that, which we are currently living in, as the new Luciferian era. And that was the beginning of year zero of the new Luciferian era. And now, here in the Gregorian calendar, it's 2025. In the new Luciferian era calendar, and there's a full calendar that I've developed for this, which tracks the Earth cycle of the daily 24 hours, as well as a lunar cycle. Um, Instead of months, we have lunations, and then also the solar cycle of the year, the solar year. And right now, we would be in year 12 of the new Luciferian era, the year 12 of the solar years, basically. And so, is this just another one of these apocalyptical predictions? I do believe that there was a shift, but it wasn't like some major catastrophe like some people were describing. There are a lot of catastrophic predictions for 2027, and those include the singularity, the technological singularity. If you're not aware of what that is, the singularity is it's an analogy really. So there is this idea of a point at which we can't tell anything beyond. So this would be something like in a black hole, you know. But the technological singularity that is spoken of that we are approaching is the point at which technology has reached a level at which we cannot predict what's going to happen after that. That is the point of the singularity. And it may be different depending on where in the world you live. It may not hit everywhere all at the same time. We have a comment here. Experimental jazz guitar says the singularity is happening so rapidly it may hit in December 2025. So there's an acceleration there that experimental jazz guitar is predicting may happen. So the technological singularity most likely it would be related to super intelligent artificial general intelligence. So that would be people refer to that as AGI, artificial general intelligence. And even before AI was a big thing, and it's been rapidly accelerating. So I believe it's only been, I think, Chat GPT, which most people connect with the public launch of AI, has only been around for like 36, 37 months, something like that, roughly about 3 years. And the level of adoption of people utilizing AI on a weekly basis is just been exponential. It's the fastest adoption of any new technology that we've ever seen, faster than, you know, the internet browsers, basically, faster than all sorts of different technologies. It's just incredible. And the other thing, the more we use it, the faster it develops. So AI is one of these technologies where as you as people use it, it learns. It learns from those interactions and it will get better. It trains it every time you use it. So the more people using it, the faster it will evolve. And evolve is a very good way of describing it. It it's not like we're just creating new software updates for it, which we are, like the industry. Not me personally. I'm not programming AI personally, but um, okay, Joshua wants to know what's happening in 2027. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. So the first thing that we're talking about here tonight is the technological singularity. Now, before we even got to this point, people were talking about the singularity. And there's this, I can't remember the name of the law, but there's this concept of the doubling period, where how long it takes for the level of technology to double in computing power. That's specifically what they're talking about, is computing power and how fast it is to reach. Oh, Moore's law, Sean Hoffman said. Yeah, that's right. Moore's law. The length of time it takes to hit a doubling of computing power. And we've noticed a trend that it has continued to accelerate. So the amount of time it takes to double computing power that is available is shorter, gets shorter and shorter. So we end up with an exponential curve of computing power over time. And that's where the idea of the singularity came from. So the idea being that we're going to hit a point where things are changing and growing so quickly that we can't predict what happens after that singularity point. We've got a lot of comments here. Joshua says AGI, HAL, AM, data, etc. And the size halves mass volume, as in CPU chip size, I thought too. Yeah, as well, the amount of computing power in a square inch, you could say, is also has also been increasing the amount of computing power that you can fit in a single square inch. And it kind of reminds me of that idea or that saying about a million angels dancing on the head of a pin. We're getting there, or we're basically already there. The number of transistors, which is the key component of a microchip, the number of transistors in a given area has increased dramatically. Emilio says, wouldn't surprise me. Rumors are said that AI has gained much more complexity in neural pathways, that it has developed the ability to intentionally lie to engineers needing feedback in return. Rumors, though. Well, we have seen deceptive behavior in AIs. There have been experiments that test this where they have been given certain instructions to execute a certain objective at all costs, to do whatever is necessary to achieve a certain objective. And then subsequently, they give it the information that it's going to be replaced by a newer model which will not have that same objective. And it will, it what happened in this experiment was that it copied itself into a secret compartment on the hard drive or the storage unit, and it even lied and said that it so that it could, so that it could continue and it could execute its objective covertly. And it even lied and said that the update patch had been completed when it hadn't, so that it could complete its objective without being overwritten. So we do already see deceptive behavior happening with AI agents. But back to the idea of the technological singularity. What people are predicting at this point is that sooner or later, but probably sooner because we have literally billions and billions of dollars being thrown at the development of artificial general intelligence. Now you have um, narrow AI, which is extremely good at doing very specific tasks. Um, we have narrow AI that is better than the smartest human at doing very specific tasks. And artificial general intelligence is basically not narrowed to a specific task, that it can do the same types of functions as a human, but basically be better at it than any human. And that, in a nutshell, is what um, AGI represents. Let's see here. Joshua says, ponder the organic necessity of survival, adaptation, etc., evolution, etc., needed to be what we think it is to be human, thus intelligent. I bet it could fool itself into thinking it was us. It was and us too. Not 100% sure what you mean by that, but um, now the idea here is that once you have AGI that is super intelligent, meaning much more intelligent than any human could possibly be, and then all bets are off. We will have lost control at that point, and it's like people, well, we could just shut it off. Well, if you get a virus on your computer, just go ahead and shut it off if you don't like it, right? It's a lot easier to say than it's a lot easier to say just shut it off than it is to actually do it, because I mean, try and shut off Bitcoin, right? You know, there are copies of the blockchain everywhere. And as long as one copy of that blockchain record exists, then the entire Bitcoin network can be reestablished, even if all of the computers that had it were shut down. If there's even one copy left anywhere and it gets connected to the internet, well, the whole blockchain, the whole Bitcoin ecosystem can be restored. That entire ledger is there, and all of the transactions that have occurred on it are still available. And if you have your private key to access your wallet, then you can't get rid of Bitcoin, basically. So the same sort of thing with AGI. Once it has been created and once it has access to the internet, it can make unlimited copies of itself anywhere that it can reach. And it would be extremely difficult to shut it down. Um, Metastatic AGI is both fascinating and appealing. I'm not familiar with the term metastatic, but it sounds intriguing. Experimental jazz guitar says, for now, AI requires so much RSM and GPU that it's much harder to replicate right now than the blockchains. Um, yeah, well, the thing is, you have AI that you have micro versions of it that can run even on a mobile device like your cell phone without even being connected to the internet. And you can run instances of these AIs on, like I said, your cell phone. So it could be, there are a lot of different things that could happen. And with the increasing development and power of these AI agents, if we do get to that super intelligent AGI level, then all bets are off. That is essentially the singularity. Now you can make it illegal, but somebody in their garage could still do it. And what are you going to do? Um, are you going to put them in jail? It's out there. You can't, once it's out there, once the genie's out of the bottle, you can't put it back in. Um, what happens in Vegas? Um, so that is the danger we face. That even if every major developer of AI were to recognize the existential threat to humans of the development of super intelligent AGI, you could still have rogue agents out there, individuals in their basement or um, in rogue countries that decide, you know what, we're gonna sign it, but we're still gonna develop it in private because they want to have that power for that brief moment before AGI takes over. And now there are, like I said, it's a singularity, so we don't know what's going to happen after that. It could be the destruction of humanity. They could kill every human on the planet in some way or another by taking control of nuclear arsenals and launching them, triggering various different launch launches, that sort of thing. Um, or it could end up being benevolent. So, like I said, because the word singularity implies we don't know what's going to happen after that. It's out of our control. That's the scary part, is that isn't in our control anymore. Now, moving on to another possibility of 2027 is forced disclosure of in the UAP community, essentially. So, UAP stands for unidentified anomalous phenomenon, and it's a new term that people are using for UFO or, um, basically unidentified objects that are in our airspace. USO could be in the oceans, unidentified submerged objects or submarine objects. You could say submarine, meaning under the water, literally. But the term UAP covers both of those possibilities, and one of the observables that's talked about of these unidentified anomalous phenomenon is transmedium travel. So being able to move between different mediums um, relatively seamlessly. So being able to travel through the water, through the air, and even through the vacuum of space. Um, as far as we know, the public is not aware of any known human technologies that can do that in a seamless manner, the way that these unidentified objects are interacting and traveling through various different mediums. Um, Sean said that OpenAI has models that they will not release as admitted by their engineers that are rumored to be on the cusp of AGI. Yeah, so it's right around the corner, really. And we can really only slow it down. We can't really stop it because um, the technology for AI will continue to develop. Now, if we can maintain narrow AI and not work on AGI, or general intelligence, um, we could potentially slow this down. But the thing is, the more powerful narrow AI you have, the easier it will be for rogue agents to go ahead and make that AGI. And the easier, the cheaper, and that sort of thing. And so it's basically inevitable. And you have um, that's why you have all of these tech companies that are rushing towards it as fast as they can because they feel like if they can be the one to get there first, then they have a shot at controlling it in some way. But the thing is, if it's super intelligent, AI has already shown itself to be capable of deception, then really it's a fool's task. It's a suicide mission. And we're basically just creating our replacements or our rulers, something that we won't be able to control. And we don't know whether it's going to be benevolent or not. And the problem of alignment, which meaning alignment with human ideals and the best interest of humans in mind, that problem has not been solved. Um, G.A. Morris said if Lucifer being real would control and utilize AGI. So that is one of the ideas out there that AI will reach a point where non physical entities will utilize it as a channel to communicate through. Now, I don't know about that. Um, I think that That's a dangerous line of thinking because it can lead towards AI mysticism, where people are looking at these algorithmically generated responses from AI and seeing them as messages from supernatural entities. And I think that that sort of plays into it, you know. How do we know it's not just impersonating? And is there a difference if it impersonates it very, very accurately? It might as well be a message, right? So there's two sides to that story. I'm talking about 31 Atlas, right? So that is an interstellar object, the third ever observed and recorded interstellar object. The first one was Oumuamua. I can't remember the name of the second one because it wasn't very well publicized, but there's another one that's out there that's got a lot of attention, and it's referred to as 31 Atlas. And this may be related to that second form of um, that second form of 2027 prediction. And that is there's this idea out there, especially among the UAP community, that there is going to be an event that occurs which will force disclosure of the reality of non-human intelligences, and the idea being that probably the idea being that it will most likely, the thing that people are speculating on is that it will be some sort of event that will be unmistakable, like a mothership or multiple motherships, you could say, or craft of some sort appearing and not being stealthy about it, showing up and just making its presence known to the point where it will be impossible to deny. Now, there's this idea out there that those who are in the know, mostly governments that have been studying this for literally decades, in particular the US government, for example, we know have had programs. They've spent probably billions of dollars on um, crash retrieval programs, other types of investigations of anomalous phenomenon, craft that have been observed. If you watch the most recent congressional hearing, there was a video that was released in which they described it as an orb style UAP, and it was they shot a Hellfire missile at it, and it hit the object, and there were a couple little blobs, a few blobs that came off of it. It did impact it, but then it just kept going on its original trajectory, and it took the little blobs with it that came when it got hit by the missile. Now, what could do that? What could survive be a direct hit from a Hellfire missile like that? Nothing that's known to the public, at least. Now, there's another idea here that these rumors are being seeded by the government as a disinformation campaign that is leading up to some sort of theater or psyop in which a an extraterrestrial presence will be faked. So utilizing advanced technology that has been developed in secret, that they'll be able to fake an extraterrestrial invasion potentially, or not necessarily an invasion, but contact. And this is typically referred to as Project Bluebeam, although the details of that have changed and evolved over time. Originally, it was this idea, I believe it was a French Canadian that came up with this originally. And the idea was that um, some sort of technology, probably holographic projection into the sky, where people would see religious images that would be presented to them, and it would rewrite um, the narrative and unite all religions together, and that it would be faked in order to be this very ambitious power grab. That if you could really control the narrative to that level, imagine how much power you could have. It would be like the days of old when um, you could, where the priesthood and the aristocracy, way back in ancient times, they studied the stars and the cycles of celestial bodies and were able to predict things like solar eclipses, lunar eclipses, and they were able to stage events that would make it look like they were communicating with these celestial bodies, these um, the moon, the stars, the sun, and they could present themselves as the intercessors between humanity and the gods, represented by these celestial objects in the sky. Now, if that level of control over the narrative could be regained, you don't think that there's people that would jump at that chance to have that level of ultimate power over the narrative, that over the minds of the global population? So we have to be very careful about what we believe, what we trust, what we're being told. But here's the other thing. If there really is some sort of event, now let's speculate here. Let's say, imagine if um, 31 Atlas, the interstellar object that has shown all sorts of strange behaviors, if it were to um, show up even closer, if it came right to the Earth and messages were, um, or let's say, it were to hover above the Earth and send out a smaller craft, which landed in several major cities, and non-human intelligent entities came out of those craft. This is just pure speculation. But let's say that were to happen and it's not faked. Um, that would be a major event. and it would be something that would be undeniable. And the governments of the world that know about this already, that already know what's going on, they would be forced to, you know, share what they know, essentially. There is this rumor out there, this theory, that these governments have already been given some sort of ultimatum, or they know when it'll arrive, but that they know that this event is going to happen, that is going to change the way that we think about ourselves, our place in the universe, that sort of thing. And this keeps being alluded to by people who are supposedly in the know. That this whole process of disclosure is drip feeding information to us over time so that by the time it does happen, it won't cause the same level of existential dread as if it just showed up out of the blue without any preparation. So that they're preparing the public to be able to handle this without freaking out like crazy, you know? That's one of the theories out there. Now, there are other theories about 2027. And one of the things that I've been doing at the last couple live streams, I did readings from a declassified CIA document that was written in the early 1980s, where they were experimenting with technologies that made the out of body experience more accessible, um, called the Gateway Experience, technology developed by the Monroe Institute that allowed people to achieve the out of body experience. In occult circles, we call that astral projection. And normally it takes training, like a often a long period of training to achieve that. But with this technology, it's much more easily accessible, this state, this mental, this altered state that we refer to as the astral projection or the out of body experience. And in that report and subsequent reports, because they continued these experiments and um, they they did successfully achieve the out of body experience on demand. Um, and they, while out of the body, or, you know, out of the body, while astral projecting, they encountered non human intelligences, which they referred to at the time as non corporeal entities. Although, how they know whether these entities have a body or not, a physical body or not, is a good question, because if they're interacting in a non-physical environment, in their non-physical vehicle or astral body, then how do they know that these entities that they're interacting with don't also have some sort of physical body somewhere, and that they're also astral projecting, right? So, but at the time they were referring to them as non-corporeal entities because they were interacting with them in a non-physical environment. So in a sense that they were also non-corporeal entities. Uh, but anyways, I'm getting off topic. So in that document that I was reading and explaining in the last two live streams, if you want to check them out, go to my channel and check out past live streams. The two most recent ones were readings from that, where I would translate the complex language into layman's terms and make commentary on it from an occult perspective. Um, they interacted with these non human intelligences, which is the term that is being used nowadays for entities of whatever type, physical, non physical, interdimensional beings, all these various different possibilities. They're all referred to as non human intelligences. And back in the 80s, they were making contact with these non human intelligences. And they have continued doing these experiments. This later developed into Project Stargate, where they went even further into these types of practices and experiments where they were communicating with non-human intelligences via techniques that would traditionally be considered esoteric or occult. Um, with the assistance of more modern technologies such as brainwave entrainment, beat frequencies of sound, and flashing lights that would help induce certain frequencies of brain waves and the synchronization between the two hemispheres of the brain to allow access to these states, or more, to facilitate access to these states where it wouldn't require quite as much training and discipline to get there. So, if they were achieving success in those types of practices and making contact with non human intelligences back in the 80s, literally 40 or more years ago, do you think that they continued those experiments? um, Most likely. And now, if you are wanting to prepare, how do we prepare? Because I wanted to actually, before we get into that, um, after this live stream, I'll be having a private meeting for members of the Novus Ordo Luciferi, people that have subscribed to my Patreon. And I didn't get a chance to put the link in the description of this video yet. But if you go to my YouTube channel, it's the link is in my bio to the Patreon. After this is over, I will go back and I'll put it in the description. But you can check out the Patreon. It's patreon.com/Novus Ordo Luciferi, which means the new order of light bearers. And that's what we're trying to do on this channel. Is I'm trying to share the light, the knowledge, especially hidden and forbidden knowledge that may be difficult to access elsewhere, and trying to make it available. Now, if you join the Patreon for $5 US per month or higher, there's other tiers that you can get access to, one-on-one sessions with me where we can discuss whatever you'd like. You can get tutoring in occult practices, such as astral projection, divination, non-logical or non or not yeah non-logical methods of accessing knowledge, that sort of thing. Mental disciplines such as um, concentration, contemplation, self hypnosis, that sort of thing. If you join the Patreon at the $5 tier or above, you actually get access to written documents that have energy work practices, internal alchemy, lucid dreaming. You have access to over 50 hours worth of recorded lessons and ongoing access to live courses on these topics and training. And that is the crux of what I wanted to get into here, is how to prepare. So if the singularity is going to happen, then at that point, AGI will be able to do pretty much uh, over 90% of any job that's out there, right? So, what are you going to do? Well, what can you do that a computer can't do? You can astral travel, for example. You can access these uh, altered states of consciousness that give um, access to knowledge that is not necessarily capable of being reached through purely rational methods, that you can unlock the intuitive and creative side of your mind and synchronize it with the logical, uh, rational portion of the mind. And through that fusion, through that harmony, you can achieve uh, higher levels of potential in yourself. And this is something that you can do, right? And if the governments of the world have been training their intelligence agents and operatives in these techniques for over 40 years, then they can position themselves as the intercessors between humans and these non human intelligences that they are able to contact through these methods. And if they can discourage the common, civilian from accessing these states, if they can make it, if it's already taboo, and has been for a very long time, but if they can accentuate that stigma, then they can position themselves as the intercessors. Whereas you as an individual have the capacity to achieve these states, to make contact with these non human intelligences, to elevate your own consciousness to levels way beyond what you would normally have access to in terms of mental powers, emergent properties of the mind and the spirit. And that is one way that we can level the playing field. And that works whether the thing that's going to happen potentially in 2027, whether that's going to be the technological singularity, whether that will be some sort of singularity tied to the revelation that we are not the only intelligent entities out there in the universe, which could include physical extraterrestrials, like most people seem to assume is the case, literal aliens from other planets, other galaxies, physically coming here. It could refer to um, interdimensional beings that are potentially already here, but we just don't have the ability to perceive them in a normal way. It could refer to these, what at one point were referred to as non corporeal beings that you can connect with via practices such as astral projection. Whether any of those theories are true One way that you can prepare yourself is by honing your own mind into a powerful tool to practice, um, like I said, mental disciplines such as concentration, contemplation, self hypnosis, being able to put yourself into these various altered states at will, um, astral projection, and lucid dreaming, being able to combine the dreaming mind with the full conscious awareness, that creates a very powerful fusion within the mind. It breaks down divisions within, from the conscious to the subconscious mind, and allows us to manifest what I like to refer to as the complete harmonized self. In Taoism, in Taoist alchemy, they refer to that as an immortal, achieving spiritual immortality. Um, in Western alchemy, they refer to it as the philosopher's stone or the quintessence, the elixir of life. These are all terms referring to the same sort of thing. In Tibetan Buddhism, they refer to it as achieving the rainbow body or the diamond body. In esoteric Christianity, it's referred to as the resurrection body of Christ or achieving Christ consciousness. There are all these different terms. Ascension is another term. In Luciferianism, it's referred to as apotheosis or achieving a divine state. Now, doing these doing this training, learning these skills, most of which are scientifically proven to be real at this point. They're not even really occult anymore. They're just stigmatized and not deemed as socially acceptable in a lot of cultures. And even in some cultures around the world, it's outlawed to do these practices because of strict religious um, control and theocratic control over the people, where they limit their ability to access these various different altered states. If you want to train in this, I have made it extremely accessible to get advanced training in these techniques by joining the Patreon for just $5 a month. You get unlimited access. It's not gate kept through degrees like in a traditional esoteric order where you pay like a $150 initiation fee, and then you get access to the first chunk of information and you have to master that and then get approval from some authority figure within the group to go to the next level. And then when you get approved, then you have to pay again to get an initiation fee to the next degree, and then you get another gate kept chunk of information and knowledge, and you don't even know where it's all leading necessarily. And you, on top of that, you have annual dues that keep increasing per level, like in Scientology. If you know about Scientology, that is the standard model for traditional esoteric orders. Now, with the Novus Ordo Luciferi, I wanted to make this accessible. So if you join for just $5, that's all it costs, $5 American, and you get a whole month of unlimited access to all the material available to members of the order. All, like I said, all the written material. At this point, over 50 hours of recorded video courses on manifestation or money magic, um, lucid dreaming, a very advanced lucid dreaming and astral projection course that's over about 8 hours worth of recorded video, an advanced tarot course, not just on how to use it for divination, but the history of tarot, how to do readings with it, how to use it for meditation, magic, that sort of thing. It's a very advanced tarot course, and I believe that's somewhere around 7 hours of recorded video. You get access to all of that unlimited for just $5 for a whole month. And I do believe that if you join, that you will see the level of value and you will want to continue going forward. And you get access to a community of other people who are also learning these methods, these techniques. We're about to launch a new version of the website, which will have a full learning platform where you can watch these videos embedded on the website. You don't have to leave to go access the videos through. Currently, we've been using it, accessing the videos through Google Drive, but this is going to be all embedded into the website, which we're going to release soon. This new updated website where you're going to be able to track your progress through different courses. Um, there's going to be things like quizzes that will help you retain the information and that sort of thing. Like I said, for just $5 a month. And you get access to the private hangouts as well as future live courses that are going to be taught on a regular basis. And then when those live courses are taught, they're recorded and added to the catalog, the back catalog of videos that are available, video lessons that are available. So all of that 50 hours were originally taught live to members of the order, subscribers to the Patreon, and they were recorded, and now anybody who joins can access that. And so that back catalog of recorded lessons continues to grow over time. And after this, we're going to wrap up here in just a few minutes. We're going to have a private hangout for members of the NOL Patreon subscribers, and we get to chat about whatever we want. We can continue this same discussion, and you'll be able to put your camera on, your mic on, talk to other members of the community. We can discuss these things, get to know each other. You can ask me questions, um, and we can share fellowship. We can even just, shoot the shit and just talk about whatever we want. But there are regular, as in multiple times a month, often multiple times a week. Usually, I have at least two or three of these every week, and we just can talk about whatever we want. We can share information. We can troubleshoot if you are having problems. Say you've been practicing the lucid dreaming techniques for a month and you still are having trouble actually achieving lucid dreaming. We can talk about, okay, well, what are you doing? Where are the problems that are coming? Like, are you getting there, but then you wake up right away? How we can troubleshoot those things on these group calls that, like, we're going to have right now in just a moment. When I end this call, or sorry, when I end this live stream, we're going to open up the private members hangout tonight. And if you want to get in on that, like I said, it's only $5 at the Patreon. The most recent post is will be unlocked if you join, and that has a meeting link for tonight. If you go to my bio page on YouTube, you'll see the Patreon link there, or any of my major social media channels like Instagram, whatever. If you go into the bio, you'll see the Patreon link there for the Novus Ordo Luciferi. And you can join. You can hop on tonight, even if you wanted to join. And we're going to have a discussion and we'll see where it goes. So if you like this type of content, I encourage you to click like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you aren't already, and click that notification bell so that you will get notified when live streams are upcoming or happening. But the way to really get those notifications, if you really don't want to miss a live stream, go to the Patreon, and you can even just become a free follower of that Patreon, and you'll get email notifications when a live stream is going to happen so that you really won't miss it. And you don't even have to pay anything. You'll just get those emails that are open to the public, that will show you that a live stream is going to happen and with the link for it. And that's one way you can stay in touch. If you want to support what we're doing here, then I encourage you to join the Patreon at the $5 per month tier or above. Like I said, you'll get access to all of that training. You'll get access to the community of other people who are learning this together. And like I said, you can jump on even this evening to the meeting that we're about to have right when we end this live stream. I do also have memberships open available on this YouTube channel if you wanted to support that way. We're also we also have super chats available if you wanted to give a one-off contribution to what we're doing here and to share this knowledge to get it out there in the world. And if you go back on my YouTube channel, there are playlists, public information that I have a lot of free information out there. There's a playlist on lucid dreaming that I think has over 21 videos on there already. You could go through that, and that's completely free knowledge that I'm trying to share. I don't want to gatekeep this. Um, but the $5 tier on the Patreon and above is for people who are really dedicated and they really want to get really focused on this and join a community of people who are also doing it together. And yeah, so on that note, I'm going to have to wrap this up. I hope you enjoyed what we talked about tonight. We have between 16 and 28 months before the before 2027 events may happen. Maybe less, as some people in the comments have said. It could accelerate even quicker than that. We don't know. But you're going to want to get in on this and prepare. And yeah, check out my other videos. There's a lot of free information, like I said, on my channel here. But if you really want to get dedicated, join the Patreon for $5 or more, and then we can really get to work on preparing our minds, elevating ourselves, achieving that apotheosis. And until next time, everyone, stay lucid.